Working on the 2016 documentary, I have had the chance to discover and look into many interesting aspects about this magical year of basketball. Sure, the Golden State Warriors may have won 73 games that year, but it is quite easy to overlook that long-time pinnacle of basketball excellence. The San Antonio Spurs also having the best team in franchise history. What's up guys, today we're going to be talking about the 2015 to 2016 San Antonio Spurs and shedding some light on one of the most forgotten teams in NBA history. Let's flash back to the 2014-15 season. Just the year prior, this team had managed to win the finals in 5 games against the LeBron James-led Miami Heat. And they had managed to keep nearly the entire core together, including Kawhi Leonard, who had just taken home his first Finals MVP, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Danny Green, Boris Diaw, Patty Mills, and Manu Ginobili. Naturally, this team was set to return as one of the contenders in the upcoming season, especially with the apparent rise in Kawhi Leonard. In the 2014-15 season, the Spurs won 55 games, yet they had only received the 6th seed in a loaded Western Conference. For reference, those 55 wins would have garnished a 2nd seed in the East. In the first round, the Spurs would go up against a prime Lob City Clippers led by Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Jordan. They would lose in a Game 7 buzzer beater thanks to an injured Chris Paul floater. And while a first round upset is disappointing, the Spurs managed to make a huge win in the offseason. First, they re-signed Kawhi Leonard to a 5-year, $90 million contract, and then they brought in star forward LaMarcus Aldridge from the Portland Trail Blazers. The year prior had been a career year for Aldridge, where he had averaged 23 points and 10 rebounds for the Blazers. With the addition of Aldridge, the Spurs now had a starting lineup of him, Tim Duncan, Danny Green, Tony Parker, and Kawhi Leonard. Let's start off with Duncan, and I'm not gonna lie to you, this is far from the prime Tim Duncan we remember dominating the league. While he did average 14-9 the year prior, this season he was down to only 8-7 on solid efficiency. But still, Duncan was a good passer for his position, and despite being 39 years old, still played an integral part to their defense. And of course, him being a veteran and his locker room presence would go miles beyond the stat sheet for the Spurs. Tony Parker, being a few years younger, like Duncan, was still starting to show his age, scoring a few less points on worse efficiency compared to their championship season. In the 2016 season, Parker put up 12 and 5 while playing less than stellar defense, and Manu was the same story, being 38 years old, only scoring 9 points per game. No, this was definitely not the same Spurs core that we saw just 2 years ago defeating a LeBron James-led Miami Heat. But this was a new, even deadlier team. Patty Mills had only just started receiving significant minutes, and a 33-year-old Boris Diaw was still a solid role player in their team style of basketball. But essentially, this Spurs team was surrounded with plenty of amazing role players who just needed a star or two to push them over the limit. First I mentioned was LaMarcus Aldridge. For this season, Aldridge was down a bit, having to share more shots, but he was also more efficient and even a better defender than his time in Portland. Aldridge put up 18 points and 8 rebounds and was named to the All-NBA 3rd team that year. But the main character for this storyline is Kawhi Leonard. For many of those following Kawhi in the early days of his career, they had seen the potential in him, but it was really the 2016 season where he had his first breakout season, becoming the Spurs' best player, a star for the league, and potentially someone Tim Duncan can pass the torch off to. Kawhi put up a career year, putting up 21 points per game with a 62% true shooting percentage, including shooting 44% from 3. He had then won his 2nd Defensive Player of the Year award, which is impressive going up against a prime Draymond Green. He was also selected to first-team All-NBA defensive team, edging out Kevin Durant, receiving his first All-Star appearance, and the 2nd most MVP votes, only to Steph Curry, who had won it that year on a unanimous vote. Kawhi had finally gotten the attention around the league that he had deserved and had proved to be one of the brightest young stars in the league. Kawhi had reimagined his game, seemingly adding in new skills each year, whether it be his ability to score off ball, in the post, or his ability to shoot from outside. Kawhi was consistently getting better, all while being the best defender in the league. And of course, much of this team's success can be contributed towards its roster construction and the greatest coach of all time, Greg Popovich. Because despite being the 2nd oldest team in the league, they had still managed to adapt towards a modern style of basketball. Duncan still had the ability to finish from the paint consistently, and Aldridge was one of the better mid-range guys in the league. With Boris Dio and Matt Bonner coming off the bench, they had the flexibility when it came to running a 4-out offense. With this, the Spurs were the second best team in the league when it came to 3-point efficiency, shooting 37% from 3 per game as a team. But still, the Spurs' bread and butter were running a high-low system with LaMarcus Aldridge and Tim Duncan, combining the other guys with their basketball instincts, off-ball screens, and cutting plays from the perimeter. Smart players combined with a great offensive system yields great results, as the Spurs had an offensive rating of 110.3, the 4th best in the league. Defensively, they were even stronger. Despite Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili not being the greatest of one-on-one defenders, they were still crucial for their team defense. Duncan, in the minutes he played, was still a capable defender down low, and Danny Green was one of the best perimeter defenders, and of course, Kawhi would harass whoever goes up against him. The Spurs had a defensive rating of 99, the best in the league, with the next best team being the Atlanta Hawks at 101.4. The Spurs also had the best net rating in the league, even better than the Golden State Warriors, despite having an albeit easy, but still more difficult schedule than Golden State. When the 2016 season finished, the team had won 67 games, the second most in the league and the most in franchise history, and this had also tied them for the 7th best regular season record of all time. What may be even more impressive is that they went 40-1 at home. For reference, the Warriors had gone 39-2 that year, so they had also tied the all-time record for the most wins in a regular season at home. So while Steph and the Warriors had been amazing, make no mistake, the Spurs were right behind them. Their first round matchup, they went up against the Memphis Grizzlies, led by Matt Barnes and Zach Randolph. The Spurs absolutely had no issues taking care of them, as they swept them with an average margin of victory of 22 points. The real issue for this team came up in their second round matchup, the Oklahoma City Thunder, led by Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. The Spurs dominated in game 1, Aldridge putting up 38 points and Kawhi putting up 25, as well as holding Kevin Durant to only 16. Game 2 came down to being a nail-biter. With 33 seconds left in the fourth, Durant is able to get by Green and rise up for a floater over Tim Duncan. The Spurs then come back running a pick and fade, freeing up Aldridge, who hits a 3. With 20 seconds left, they send Westbrook to the line, who hits both of his shots, making it a 4-point game. Then with 15 seconds left, Aldridge is fouled on a 3-pointer and he proceeds to hit all 3 of his free throws. With 14 seconds left, this is an arguable offensive foul on Dion Waiters, which should have given the ball back to the Spurs. But still, due to a bad pass, the Spurs are able to steal the ball and have one more attempt to win the game. Instead, they squander it as Patty Mills misses a 3-pointer as time expires. It's a controversial, bitter ending, but one where the Spurs still had a chance to win. They lose 98-97 and the series is tied. In Game 3, the Spurs are able to take some momentum back as they steal a game on the Thunder's home court thanks to a 31-point performance and an excellent play from Kawhi Leonard in the closing minutes of the game. In Game 4, the Spurs open up the fourth quarter with a lead, but are outscored as the Thunder then go on a 34-16 point run in the fourth, and a 41-point outing from Kevin Durant. Next was a crucial Game 5 where it once again came down to the final minutes for the Spurs and Thunder. To counter their lineups of bigs, the Thunder had been playing the stash bros of Steven Adams and Enes Kanter. They held Tim Duncan to only 5 points and Aldridge to 20 while going 6 of 21. But poor shooting that night from Kevin Durant still made this a winnable game for San Antonio. But in the last 2 minutes, both Tony Parker and LaMarcus Aldridge missed potentially game-winning shots, and an athletic and one finish from Russell Westbrook in the last 10 seconds seals it for the Thunder. Headed into Game 7, all the momentum was headed in the Thunder's way. They had won the last 2 games, were up 3-2, and were in front of a roaring crowd ready to see them make the Western Conference Finals. This game would be no contest as Kevin Durant put up 37 points in a 113-99 victory. And just like that, the Spurs season was over. Despite having one of the best records in the history of the league, despite being one of the best teams in Spurs history, despite having a superstar who was breaking out, the Spurs lost in 6 games to the Thunder. Durant flat out outplayed Kawhi, as Kawhi was held to shooting only 23% from 3 that series. No, this story for the Spurs is not a happy one. A month after the finals, the Spurs received devastating, albeit predictable news. 19-year veteran Tim Duncan had announced his retirement from the league in the most Tim Duncan way possible. No retirement tour, no big final game, not even a press conference. Just a simple statement on the Spurs website announcing the end of his career with the silver and black. And that is it. That is the story of the 2016 San Antonio Spurs. One of my favorite basketball teams of all time, and one of the best teams to never make the NBA Finals. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button to stay up to date for the rest of the 2016 documentary, and I'll see you guys later.